G'day, my name's Graham Gordon Thomas and I am the rational environmentalist. Do you believe that wind and solar are renewable energy? Well, maybe you do, but they're not. Mathematically and physically, they are not. Do you really believe that Australia can affect a global climate outcome in any way whatsoever? Do you believe that all the coal it is exporting to China is not adding to the CO2? We've got to ask ourselves, what is the most dangerous aspect of climate change? The chance that you might die in a flood or seas rising, or die in a drought or a rainstorm, or catastrophic food losses and stuff like that. Well, those things happen all the time somewhere in the world. But the world is so integrated now, and where there's a shortfall of food somewhere, because there's the market forces, there are people with the surplus to sell it. So the chances of people starving to death, well, they do that mostly because of wars and government inadequacy, not because of climates. Because see, climates can be engineered locally to produce all the food you want. So there's no need panicking about that. The most dangerous aspect of climate change is the psychological damage done to young people, millions of them all over the world, by the likes of Al Gore, who are grown. This is the older white men they should be terrified of. Because people like Al Gore, they're not doing it because they care about other people or the planet. They care about Al Gore and how much money he can make out of this global warming scare. Causing young people to be frightened of the future and pessimistic for the future is the most scariest aspect of climate change. It is the one part of it that we should fear most, because it means that, one, they're causing division from the young people to sort of be wary or not like and mock older white men such as myself. Oh, I don't care whether the climate changes or not. I care about how the young people will get through any change when their economy is being decimated at a time when robots will come along, while they're being told the economy doesn't matter anymore because the climate's important. The only people saying the economy doesn't matter are the very well off. And the well off know they've got plenty of backup finance. Everyone else should be very worried about those wealthy people saying the economy doesn't matter. Because the economy is the most important aspect to look after if you're going to deal with climate change. The wealthier a community is, the better it is equipped and prepared optimistically to go through a climate change. The poorer a community is, because you've robbed it because of extravagant electricity prices, the more pessimistic it shall become, and the more difficult it will be to go through any climate change. And this is how people have acted so irresponsibly, like Al Gore and all the other people who, oh, you've got to fear, you've got to fear. Living in fear is the worst thing a human can do. It wouldn't matter. It's no point if it's starts snowing like mad and filling up the field with snow in Australia, there's no point in living in fear of that. You have to deal with it. If there's a climate change, there's no point in living in fear of it, because the fear is causing confusion, and certainly when the people administrating this and in charge of making out themselves an authority which they're not, when they're misleading all the people and saying wind and solar are renewable energies when they're not, physically and mathematically, economically speaking, they're not. When the sun doesn't shine at night time and solar panels doesn't work, how do you renew that 12-hour energy loss? How do you renew it? How do you make of it? Does it accelerate? Does it catch up, get faster? It doesn't. So it's a loss. It's a lost system. Every 12 hours, solar panels make no energy, so they're losing energy. Every time the wind stops, it's losing energy, and therefore it's losing the economy, but they still must be paid for. So the gaps that they're not paid, gaps when they're not working, are still costing money, but they're not producing anything. It's that simple to understand their lost system. And they're nothing to do, wind and solar are nothing to do with reducing CO2, because you can't run them without backup with coal power, oil, gas or nuclear. You can't run them. It's physically impossible. The dream of totally renewable energy in Australia, well, I don't know what they've got in mind. They haven't mentioned it, because solar and wind can't do it. It would cost so much to put that over the land, the place would be totally broke, because electricity prices would be the whole of your wages each week to pay for the electricity. That's the absurdity of it. So the most dangerous part of climate change is not the climate change, it's misinformation about the economy pertinent to deal with climate change, and scaring children into not thinking for themselves and not questioning the likes of Al Gore as if he is the new deity. Is not. The man is somehow lost it because he didn't become president, and somehow he needs a lot of attention, and he's making enormous amounts of money out of this. When what sacrifice has he made, or all these rich people made, towards this climate change crisis? What sacrifice? None. So ask yourself, why should you follow those into a battle who are prepared to sacrifice nothing? Themselves but are prepared to sacrifice the poor people whilst they get rich. Think about the long-term consequences of that sort of change that would create whilst we're having a climate change. Thank you. This is Graham Gordon Thomas. I am the Rational Environmentalist.